Hello and welcome to your weekly horoscope for week commencing the 9th of May. You can watch these in relation to your ascendant or your sun. The choice is yours. I'm going to give you a broad overview of the exciting potential this week gives us all, and then please stay with me. I will dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac sign forecasts. Now, of course, as this week begins, we're still essentially in Taurus season, with the sun in that sign. But Mercury, the planet of communication, recently moved into the sign of Gemini, one of two that it governs. And of course, Tuesday of this week, Mercury does go into a retrograde. Now, we all know that Mercury retrograde can be a time when some of the things that we rely upon around technology or communications can sometimes be a little bit unreliable. But Mercury retrograde is also an opportunity to try to resolve any strand in our situation that needs a little bit more attention to detail. So we mustn't see it as just a negative thing. It does bring opportunities too. But if you have been finding that communications generally or nervous energy have felt lower since the 26th of April, it may be because that was when the pre-retrograde shadow period began. Now, of course, this retrograde begins in Gemini, but on the 23rd of May, Mercury retreats back into the sign of Taurus. So I think we're all thinking a lot at the moment about costs, and particularly the solar eclipse, which occurred on the 30th of April for most major centres of the world, did combine very closely with Uranus, and of course was linking in a positive way with Mars. But we're in a period where it seems a big reset is coming, and I think we're going to see even more signs of that on the 16th of this month, when we have the total lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Now, if you want to watch the in-depth video on that I've recorded, please see the link beneath this video, because I think it's going to be one of the most important events that we've had for many a moon, literally. But back to that Mercury retrograde. So it is going to be retreating in its retrograde through to the 3rd of June. 2 signs it goes through in that time. By the 4th of June, it will come out of shadow. So I think when it comes to those resources, we need to be particularly conscious of where we're spending our money, but we also need to perhaps track our transactions in a very precise way. Now, of course, Jupiter also moves sign on Tuesday of this week, transversing into the sign of Aries. Aries is the sign of opportunity. It's the first zodiac sign, and of course it's fiery. Jupiter has been making its way through the sign of Pisces, and last year it travelled through Aquarius as well. This year we've got a repeat of that. It's a bit unusual, you know, because Jupiter usually pretty well takes 12 years to go through its cycle, 1 year per zodiac sign. So we've had 2 consecutive years where we have 2 zodiac signs that Jupiter is impacting upon. Now, Jupiter is about that sense of optimism and self-belief, and it can be the planet of fortune if we work well with it. And it is going to be in the sign of Aries through to the 27th of October. And the reason it then goes back into the sign of Pisces is because on the 28th of July, it goes into retrograde. Now that's going to end on the 23rd of November, and then on the 21st of December, Jupiter will come back into Aries. So again, we've got this sense of the emotional and spiritual dimension, which was really boosted by Jupiter combining with Neptune on the 12th of April. And some astrologers saw this as being a very significant event. And certainly for those people that are wanting to move above just living in the more material plane, I think it did give us great opportunities. But we've also seen that just because that spiritual conjunction was occurring, it didn't mean to say that all the things in the world were turning out exactly in a spiritual way. So Jupiter moving into Aries provides much more thrust. And if there is something that we need to develop a new energy around, then this is going to be a very significant change. But the middle of this week is also terrifically significant because by next Monday, the 16th of May, we're going to have that total lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio, and it is going to be squaring up Saturn, and the square between the Sun and Saturn begins in the middle of this week. It's much closer by next Monday, and that's going to be a key event. And if you want to check out the lunar eclipse video that I've recorded, please see the link beneath this video, because I think this is going to be a big reset around resources and how we consume things. And I did predict this last autumn, and this is going to be a major event, but it begins to show its impact in the middle of this week. And the Sun also forges a rather enchanting link with Neptune, so we have two counter influences. How we're all connected, Saturn in Aquarius, especially around our values or money, becomes an issue in the middle of the week with the Sun square to Saturn, which can be very restraining and lowering of physical vitality. But the Sun's link to Neptune suggests there's another way. You know, if we can move beyond just thinking about what we earn, status, the size of our car, all this kind of stuff, then there's a lot to be gained. Now also, on Friday through till the end of the week, Mars does combine with Neptune too. This is a trickier combination, to be honest, because when Mars and Neptune are together in a more challenging 8th harmonic aspect, square, conjunction or opposition, there is the potential for distortion in a more nefarious way. So we mustn't kid ourselves about anything. Self-illusion could be one of the outcomes of this particular influence, or we could encounter someone who's not very honest, yet there may be something about them that we find very attractive, even in a sexual context. And yet, despite the retrograde to Mercury, it does meet up in a gorgeous link with Jupiter towards the end of this week. And also Venus is in a semi-sextile to Uranus towards the end of this week. And ironically, Saturn is in a semi-sextile with Neptune later this week as well. So there are opportunities this week, especially Jupiter moving into Aries. If we can invest our energy into an arena or a strand which inspires us, Jupiter can egg us on. But with Mercury retrograde, we need to be aware of the details, but we also must see the opportunities to revisit, recalibrate, repair, renew that the retrograde does provide us with. Now, if you'd like to ascend above this Zodiac broadcast and understand more serious astrology, if you give me 3 pieces of your personal information, I can give you a roadmap that can guide you for the rest of your life, plus a more specific forecast for the next 12 months, and give you 30% off with my special offer. Please see the link beneath this video. But if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. But please stay with me now for your in-depth forecast. Hello Cancer, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for week commencing the 9th of May. Jupiter moving into your sector of success gives you a fantastic opportunity to bring something majorly important to pass this year. Now also, Mercury going into retrograde is a little bit of a challenge in the sense that it's in the 12th house. So don't let self-doubt stop you from grabbing this big opportunity, because with Venus and Jupiter in your 10th house, your charm and persuasion are going to be important to progress. Now, of course, the Sun's in the part of your situation that's to do with where you collaborate with others, but its clash with Saturn from the middle of the week could mean that something around a point of principle could be a bit challenging for you. It may even be about hard cash, but that Mars and Neptune are combining in your 9th house of expansion and adventure so positively with the sun in your sector of the future later in this week suggests that if you can find creative ways to get around short-term problems that may be linked to money, or there is something within you that you just need to show maximum self-belief around, that Mercury retrograde in your 12th house, there is a lot of influences this week which give you a lot of power to succeed, make progress, gain traction. And Jupiter in particular, despite its retrograde from the 28th of July, certainly from now until then, it could be that some big successes are going to come through for you, ones that you can really celebrate. It's just, obviously we're living in a complex world, a lot's changing at the moment, particularly around the cost of living, the consumption of raw materials and the cost of energy. And those are things that are pretty well affecting us all. So they need negotiating, but there's lots of rich seams of possibility there for you to mine.